everyone. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, you would be very welcome. This month we're going to be working on our doll called Audra. Here she is. She's been very busy at the moment working in the vet centre. She's just got home from work, so we're going to take all her clothes off and we're going to have a look at making her look beautiful. So this is Audra. Now, Audra is the second doll I got. All I saw when I saw her was her leg. It was sticking out of a bin, and I thought, oh, that leg looks a bit like our generation doll leg. So I've had her about 6 or 7 months, and she came and she was in a mess. She had no clothes whatsoever, so I'm just going to give her a real good clean. Now Audra has got, I don't know if you can see, she's got glitter on her eyes. Now this is the second time that I will have cleaned Audra, and I have to be very, very careful around the eyes. And if you have a look and you see she's got a little bit of makeup, hopefully you can see that inside of her eyes, and this piece here on her eye is very it's quite sort of sticky almost, I would like to say. So I'm going to have to be very careful if I clean that. I would want to clean that with, I'm going to use a magic eraser, and I would use it, and I'd probably use a dry eraser and just get in there. And what I would tend to do with this one is just do it very carefully and do a little bit each time I wash her. Make sure that I don't get any water inside her eyes at all. Okay, you want to make sure that they never get any water in their eyes, because that can stop our eyes from working. Now you can buy beautiful eyes for the dolls, which you can replace, so which is a good thing. And Audra has one earring when she came, so she just had the one. I haven't been able to get one yet, so I'm always looking out for another earring for her. So, but I quite like the fact that she's got one. So all I'm going to do is, I've got some warm water in here, and it's just plain warm water, there's no soap or anything in it, and I have my magic eraser. I'm just going to dip the ends into it, and I'm going to give her a good wash all over her plastic arms and legs and the rest of her. But I'm going to make sure I don't get any water into her eyes. Okay, so I'll just go all over her and clean off her whole body, because it tends to get quite sticky where the children are holding her, especially her hands and her arms where they pick them up. Their hands in particular seem to get very, very sticky. Okay, so I'm just going to give her a good wash off all over, just like that. So I've done her whole of the arm, her limbs, and I'm just going to come around now, and I'm going to do the back of her neck here, and I'm going to come around and do her front of her neck around here, and I'm going to make sure I don't go anywhere near the eyes. Okay, my cloth is just damp. I've really wrung it out, so there shouldn't be too much getting on there. This should just remove any greasy bits or sticky bits from where the children have played at it. And really, you need to wash your children's dolls like once a year if you can, because if you're not careful, they can pick up muck and grime and stuff on them. So if you're doing it for your children, it won't matter. And if you get a tiny bit on the fabric, don't worry, because it just will dry okay. All right. And what I would do then is just get hardly anything in my cloth at all, and I'll just wipe over her body just to make sure there's no stickiness on there. I try to, when I tell the children, when the children are playing, we don't sort of have food up in the playroom or anything, so they do sort of stay reasonably clean. But I just like to just give her very, very gentle, so as you can see there's hardly any water on that there at all. I'm just going to dry off her face with the other end of the magic eraser. That's it, and then just get her all cleaned up like that, and then I'll go over it and I'll dry her off with the towel. And I try and do this at least once a year per doll, because otherwise I think you're going to end up with lots of sticky dolls. There we go. So when she's done, I've got a nice towel here. I'm just going to wipe her all over and dry her all off, make sure that there's no wet bits on her. And we want to leave her then just to dry off. Don't put her anywhere where she's on any heat or anything. Just leave her to dry naturally in the air, especially with her hair. We don't want to get any heat or anything on too high a heat on it. Just dry her off with the towel. That's it. There she goes. Sorry about my backdrop. It's because she's so high, I've had to move it around a bit. So just going to start on her hair now. Before we do anything with her hair, can you see we have a little bit of tangles, but she's not too bad. Before you brush their hair ever at all, you always need to get yourself a water bottle. I've just got a plain water bottle and I've just got plain water in it, and I'm just going to spray it. Spraying stops it from pulling it too much when you're brushing through it. And it's just going to give it a spray all over. And I like to give it a little generous spray. And you might want to put a towel underneath the bottom of your hair. So if you just put it down on the floor underneath it. If you've got one of these chairs, they're brilliant. I got this one and I paid £4 for it on Facebook Marketplace, so you should be able to get them. They seem to come up all the time. So what I've got, unfortunately, is in the car, which my husband has gone out in. I've got my metal brush because the kids had it. So I pinched one of the children's just hair brushes and I'm just going to brush through it. Now you should always really use a metal brush, but obviously I didn't have one, so I'm just going to brush it all the way through, and I'm going to brush everything. I'll start here at the ends. I'm just going to brush the ends, and then I'm going to work, once I've got the ends all worked out and the tangles are all worked out from the ends, you can see how easily it's coming out. I'm going to get that out, and then we're going to start working on the top bits. So start just down here on your ends and just go through these ends like this. At this point here, you might prefer to do it on the table and just do your ends on the table and then put her in the chair when you want to get a bit higher. But because Audra's not too bad, I'm just going to do her ends for her. Okay. And there we go. Okay. So there we go. So this is Audra's hair. It's looking beautiful. There's no tangles in it at all. Now I wouldn't have touched So I wouldn't have touched Florence or Haven's hair because Florence has ringlets and Haven has more curly black hair. So I wouldn't have touched that with the plastic comb at all, but because it was Audra, her hair is lovely and straight anyway, so I'm just going to go over. And then what I'm going to do, can you see along the bottom here, I'm just going to grab my scissors. I'm just going to take off those very few long ends down the bottom, because those are probably loose anyway, and I will just take those off. And then it'll just give her, and I wouldn't cut anything else off other than those, just across the bottom. Right. Now if you've got an American Girl doll, you can do the same as this with the hair, but don't get your wig wet. Only get the ends of the hair wet, okay? And that's all you want to do. And then I'm going to leave Audra sitting in that chair in the nice and warm room. I might wrap her in a towel first, and then I'll leave her in there until her hair is all dried off. But she's looking great. Now Audra, as you can see, had a haircut before she came to me, so this piece of her hair has been cut off, but that's okay. It does lay down quite flat with the other hair, so I'm not too worried. And for this month she's going to get a hairband, so we're going to make her a hairband, so I'm not too worried about it actually sat down nicely like that. Okay, so there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Goodbye.